Radio check. We should be live. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the live stream. And we are 30 minutes away from the start of Free Practice 3 here in Abu Dhabi. The final race of the season, the final Free Practice 3 session, well, the final practice session of the season as well. We'll have all of the teams, we'll have them doing their final bits of testing and getting ready for qualifying that's coming up in a few hours. Yeah. It looks like Sergio Perez will be losing his seat at the end of the year. They're currently in talks of ending his contract. There are I don't know. Well, the potential replacements are Sonoda and Lawson. We'll have to wait and see which one of the two gets promoted. But I think we'll find that out much later on into the winter break, not right now. Yeah. We got a couple more things to talk about, but thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. And we are 30 minutes away from the start of Free Practice 3. It is check over by the looks of it, yeah, unfortunately. Good morning, Rob. Yeah, let's hope for a good run for Bottas this weekend. Indeed, yeah, he was pretty close to scoring points last weekend. Of course, Lando Norris was charging his way through the field right at the end after getting his stop-go penalty. If it wasn't for Norris, I think Bottas would have ended up scoring points. But yeah, that's just the way things go sometimes. Maybe we'll see if he can score some points on his final race for Kick Sauber. I don't want to say that it's Bottas' final race in Formula 1 full stop. I think maybe when Cadillac or GM joined the sport and Bottas has been a reserve driver at Mercedes for a year, I think that will be fantastic. That'd be a fantastic opportunity for Bottas to get himself back into Formula 1. Yeah. Are you looking forward to having a break? A little bit, yeah. I'm a little bit tired after 3 weeks of commentary in a row, but I'll miss Formula 1 as well. I'm not gonna say that I won't. But yeah, all right. Saying points, but it would have been a point. Yeah, it would. It definitely would be a point, just for 10th place. But nonetheless, a point is a point, and we'll see if Bottas has any success this weekend. What else have we got? Doohan as well. Jack Doohan stepping in for Esteban Ocon, who's been, sort of kicked out of the team. There was meant to be a nice farewell for Esteban Ocon, French driver, French team. However, it's turned bitter quite quickly, and he has left the team early. So Jack Doohan taking part in this weekend's race, and we'll see if he can deliver and score some points. The Alpine is looking fairly quick in the hands of Gasly, but Gasly's on fantastic form. It'll be a little bit unfair to compare Doohan to Gasly, given that it's Doohan's first race in Formula 1, and Gasly has been doing brilliantly for the past couple of races. So we'll see. If Doohan can make it out of Q1, I would say that's success for him. But even if he doesn't, it's not. I don't think anyone's going to be knocking him, saying that, Doohan's really slow, because, it is his first race, and the Alpine isn't all that quick either. Okay. Why exactly was he dropped early? They firstly wanted to get Jack Doohan in to test a little bit, like to just drive around in the car to get him a little bit of experience before the winter break. The deal was Ocon would be allowed to do post-season testing with Haas if he broke the contract early. So if he left the team one race early, then he would be allowed to work with Haas for their post-season tests. But if he didn't do that, then what would have happened is that Alpine would have kept him for the final race, but then they would have also kept him for media duties after the final race, and that would have prevented him from going to Haas to do the post-season testing. So essentially, the reason he left was so he can go to his next team and get some testing done before the end of the year. Alright, Haas looking strong this weekend. Would be amazing if they managed to get P6 in the Constructors' last race of the Championship. Yeah, I think Haas have in fact managed to bring themselves up into P6, even after Alpine scored their surprise double podium. Let me just check the Constructors' standings. Oh no, Haas are on 54 points, Alpine are on 59. So yeah, if Haas outscore Alpine by 6 points in the constructors, then we could see them get sixth place in the constructors. That'd be brilliant for them. Yeah. Right. What else have we got to look at? Oh yeah, if we look at the drivers' standings, of course the first place driver has been confirmed, Max Verstappen. However, it's quite close between Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, and then also quite close between Oscar Piastri and Carlos Sainz. So actually not that close between Oscar Piastri and Carlos Sainz. But between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, there's only an 8-point gap. So we could see one of those drivers. Well, if Charles Leclerc finishes 8 points ahead of Norris, then that could be a second place finish for him in the standings, which would be brilliant. But yeah, given that Charles Leclerc has a 10-place grid penalty, it's going to be a tough job to do that. All right. Okay. Volume is very low compared to previous streams, but like the stream, love F1. Let me just see if I can do anything about that. But no, I think that's just me talking quietly. I'll move my mic slightly closer to my face. Yeah. All right. Exotech, thank you for the $10 donation. Oh my god. Right. Can you fact check me? I just heard about Ben Suleiman forcing the ethics committee to now report directly to him after firing the investigators investigating him for financial corruption. This is bad. I have not heard anything about that, but I will fact check you. I don't know if I can do it right now because I've done absolutely no research on the topic. However, I will definitely have it done by qualifying, I think. But once again, thank you for the $10 donation, buddy. Hugely helping out the channel. Yeah. All right, I'll have a look, but there's some dodgy stuff going on in the FIA, and well, Mohammed Ben Suleiman is probably at the centre of it, really. All right, what else have we got to talk about? Oh yeah, no, I think that is true actually. I've just looked up an article here, and I think they've modified the FIA's operating procedure, and they've lost the ethics committee the ethics committee have lost the power, and the audit committee also have lost their power to investigate issues properly and independently, and that's basically just saying that, oh yeah, you can't investigate me or something like that. So not ideal. Quali will start, 4 hours time. Is it 4 hours? Yeah, 4 hours. Has Hamilton passed Schumacher, who is the GOAT? Well, I think that's a question for another time, really. We'll have to wait and see. I just want racing, hate the politics. Yeah, the racing. I mean, the racing's been good this season, so we can't really complain that much. The off-track drama between Max and Russell is also quite funny, but yeah, we are of course here for the racing. We're not here for a reality TV show, disguised by some racing occasionally. So we'll see. What are your predictions for Kimi in Mercedes next year? Ooh, okay, interesting question. So, well, Kimi Antonelli, if any of you guys don't know, he's currently in Formula 2. He's a rookie driver, and he'll be getting promoted directly up to Mercedes next year, driving alongside George Russell. And, well, it's going to be one of those rare opportunities, one of those rare times where a rookie gets promoted directly up into a top team. We've seen it happen before, with Lewis Hamilton going directly to McLaren. But apart from that, most of the rookies go into junior teams and smaller teams first before they get promoted up to the tops. For example, Charles Leclerc, for example, Max Verstappen. But yeah, Kimi Antonelli is going to have a tough challenge from the outset. I have a feeling for the first 5-6 races of the season, we're not going to see him be close to George Russell. He's always going to be 2, 3, 4 tenths off. But slowly but surely, I think he will get closer. But yeah, I don't know. George Russell seems like a very quick driver, and I don't think I would expect Kimi Antonelli to match him in the first year of his career. It was a very similar thing for Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri, as we know right now, is a fantastically quick driver. However, even in his first year of Formula One, he wasn't competing with Lando Norris every single weekend. There were weekends where he had off weekends. There were weekends where he hadn't raced at the circuit before. For example, Formula One races at Singapore, and if Formula 2 doesn't race at Singapore, then Kimi Antonelli has never driven at that circuit before. The same could be said for Miami, the same could be said for quite a few other circuits where it's only Formula 1 racing, and the drivers don't have any prior experience. So, yeah, I think the first season, Russell will end up with probably 10%, 15% more points than Antonelli, and then, yeah, that should be 10, 15, 20% more points, and yeah, that's my prediction. Okay. What do you think Liam Lawson's chances are of keeping a seat? I think Liam Lawson has a fantastic chance of keeping a seat. He's been, as soon as he got into Formula 1, of course, he was a little bit behind Yuki Tsunoda, but that is to be expected. And then as the races went on, sometimes he would outqualify Yuki Tsunoda, sometimes he would be ahead of him in the race. And he's not been particularly slow, not been particularly crash prone. So I think Lawson has a fantastic chance to stay in Formula 1, especially with the talks now of Sergio Perez retiring at the end of the year, or he's leaving Red Bull. Then it's either going to be him or Yuki Tsunoda that gets promoted up to the Red Bull team. I think it would be Yuki Tsunoda that gets promoted, but that would mean Liam Lawson and probably Isaac Hadjar would be the rookie drivers in the Racing Bulls team. And because of that, he won't have, he'll be a little bit more experienced than Hadjar, and then he'll have some time to develop. He'll have a full season, really, because there's not going to be too much pressure on him in the RB team to deliver results every single weekend and not make any mistakes. So it'll be good development time for him as a driver, and he should be good to go, really, in future seasons. All right. Charles Leclerc has been given a 10-place grid penalty for a brand new battery pack. They're only allowed 2 in a season. This is their third one, and we saw the issue arise at the start of FP1. Charles Leclerc's car was up on stilts, and the mechanics were working underneath it, replacing the battery. And Leclerc missed the first 30 minutes of the practice session, but then ended up going out onto the track with a new battery pack and a 10-place grid penalty coming his way as well. Alright, right now there is so much talent than experience is more important than ever. So even if we get the next Max, he won't challenge for a while. Yeah, there is a lot of talent on the grid. I mean, all of these drivers are so talented. Even people who are considered the slowest drivers on the grid are still fantastically quick, because they are, well, one of the 20 fastest drivers in the world. All right. Yeah. All right. We are 17 minutes away from the start of free practice 3, and yeah, currently up on the screen we've got the FP2 timings. The Red Bulls were really struggling, and so were the Ferraris yesterday. In the long runs, McLaren were just so fast. We saw Leclerc being told over the radio that Piastri was doing some lap time. I don't remember exactly. I think it was a 1:30.2, and the Ferraris were doing 1:31.0s. They were 0.8 off per lap. It was absolutely huge. Now, I think McLaren must have been using a smaller fuel load. I don't think the gap between the Ferraris and the McLaren is that big this weekend. But we will have a look at the qualifying simulation pace, and it does look like McLaren does have a slight advantage. Well, not a slight advantage, a pretty significant advantage, really. They look to be 0.2 faster than the Ferraris and 0.2 faster than the Red Bulls, and 0.3 faster than the Mercs. So, yeah, it's not looking ideal there. I think Ferrari and Red Bull will have worked pretty hard overnight to get some setup changes onto the car, and then they'll put the setup changes on as we speak, and then we'll see if their race pace, long run paces, are any better, because, well, they're going to need it. If McLaren are 0.2 quicker in quali laps and 3/10 quicker in in race laps, then I have a feeling that, yeah, they're definitely going to need it. Right, let me just give the data a quick refresh. In fact, there we go. It's refreshed itself. Fantastic. And we should have the drivers coming out any minute. Right, in fact, all of the colours are gone for whatever reason. I'm sure they'll come through shortly. Right. Race and quali predictions. Race and quali predictions. Well, I'm gonna have some outrageous predictions for the race. I'm gonna say Russell and Verstappen are gonna start alongside each other, crash into each other, and then for the race, I'm going to say Kevin Magnussen, who's currently on 0 penalty points, and it looks like this might be one of it might be his final race in Formula One. I reckon he's gonna go bowling, replay some of the best hits from Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas, Hungary 2021. Do something very similar to that. Go bowling and ensure that our boy Nico Hulkenberg, who's currently up in 3rd place from the free practice 2 timings, will score a podium. So yeah, we'll see. Right. Yeah. That's what I think's gonna happen. Obviously, well, I'm being a little bit sarcastic and joking there, but we'll see. Oh, the data's just gone black there. Let's see. Are we getting the colours back? There we are. Very nice. Right, let me just get rid of the free practice 2 data. Right, brilliant. Yeah. F1 Gamer, when you hit 150k subs, I think you think you should do a Q&A session where you do a face reveal and all that. Yeah, I mean, I could probably do a Q&A now, given that there aren't that many people on the stream. We've only got 1,000 people tuned in just yet. Also, yeah, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It helps out the channel and basically just tells the YouTube algorithm that, oh yeah, this is a fantastic live stream and we should recommend it to everyone. So yeah, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. But yeah, since we've only got 1,000 people in the stream and there aren't that many chat messages, go ahead and ask any questions that you want to. Yeah, I would say only 1,000 people. I agree with you. 1,000 people is quite a lot. However, most people aren't going to be typing in the chat asking questions. So. Oh, there's something up with the like counter. Oh yeah, I forgot to start the like counter. There we go. 181. When is qualifying after this? Qualifying is in 2 hours, in 3 hours and 30 minutes, or 3 hours and 31 minutes. Okay. Do you think Colapinto can get a seat for next year? Well, this is the thing. Where would he get the seat for next year? He's out of the contention for running at Red Bull. He could maybe get a seat at Visa Cash App Racing, but the problem is that they are specifically a Red Bull Driver Academy team, and they've got fantastic drivers in the works already. They've got Isaac Hadjar and Ayumu Oasa, so both of those drivers will want to get at that seat. So I don't see why they would sign Colapinto. And then there aren't any seats left on the grid, so unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to happen. Right. How many championships do you see Max winning in the next 5 years? Oh, I mean, that's a tough question, isn't it? It depends on what happens in the regulations in 2026. It depends on if Red Bull can bounce back from their downfall this year. Yeah, I think Max is still going to stay like one of the quickest drivers on the grid, if not the quickest, for at least the next 3-4 years. There'll be some other competitors, I'm sure. If Fernando Alonso ends up with one of the fastest cars in 2026 after Adrian Newey designs it, then we could see Fernando Alonso return to his former form and be former self and just be absolutely dominating anyone and everyone on the circuit. Who knows? What place will Charles finish after a 10-place grid penalty? I mean, it depends on where he qualifies, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, can't really answer that question. What are your predictions for the rookies next year? Oh, sorry, the questions are scrolling by pretty quickly, actually. Let's see. Why has the DRS zone 1 been reduced by 50 meters? It's been reduced by 50 meters just to make sure that the overtaking, when the drivers are going into turn number 6, they're side by side rather than one driver just overtakes someone using the DRS. So they reduce the length of the DRS zone. So rather than the overtake being just done on the straight section of the track, it actually gets done in the braking zone, and we get a little bit more action. The next question. Why did you start to do a podcast for? Is it just for the passion you had, or you loved it since you were a kid? Yeah, I mean, the first Formula 1 race I watched was Spa 2018. I was super into it after that. I was reading every single news article I could get my hands on in 2019 and 2020. And then lockdown came around, so I was like, oh, let's start a YouTube channel, see how far this can go. And I was expecting to fully get 100 subscribers or something like that, and then call it a day. But here I am with 1,000 times more than that. And yeah, no, I never really planned to have a super big YouTube channel, but you hit 100 subscribers and then you hit 1,000. It's like, ooh, what if this happens? And then I just kept doing streams, and more people kept coming along, and it's just it somehow happened without me even planning it from the start, really. Yeah. All right, what do you think? Right, I'm going to continue on with these questions. We've got 9 minutes left, so... Right. What do you think would be the best looking... Who do you think would be the best looking driver on the grid? Honestly, I'm not in any position to really judge that. I think... I don't know. Like I guess typically there's a lot of people that would say Leclerc, maybe Norris. I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Leclerc. I'm not really sure. Yeah. What is your? Oh, someone asked what I study in university. I'm just studying engineering. Maybe we'll work in Formula One someday. What is your background? How do you become a fan of Formula One? In fact, the first thing that I watched in the first Formula One video that I ever watched was a WTF one video. It was a recap of what happened to the halfway point of the 2018 season, and then of course after the summer break, Spa was the first race. So they had, in the video they were like, oh, and the next race is at Spa and it's on this date. And then I happened to watch the video like one day before or something, or 2 days before. And then I watched the Spa race, and that's how I got into it, really. Yeah, a WTF1 video. So I've got to send an email to Matt and Tommy P1 to say thank you. Thank you for getting me into Formula One, because pretty wild. All right, who do you think should join General Motors Cadillac? Who do you think should join General Motors Cadillac? Well, I think they'll be trying to get at least one American driver, in the same way that Audi have signed Nico Hülkenberg because he's a German driver. I think they will try and sign a American driver, but I would say apart from that, if they sign an American driver, I think the other driver to pair with them should be Valtteri Bottas. Bottas, fantastic driver, rate him very highly, very quick, very consistent. And the only sort of downside to hiring Bottas is that he would require a big paycheck, but I'm sure GM, one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world, has some pretty big pockets. Have you ever been to a F1 race? No, I haven't actually. I would quite like to go to Spa. Spa would be nice. I think Silverstone's a little bit too expensive, really, but yeah, Spa would be. I think it's, yeah, I said this on previous streams. It's cheaper to fly to Spa, stay a night in a hotel, and then watch the race and fly back than it is to go to Silverstone. So, yeah, might go to Spa. It's a pretty nice circuit, and hopefully sit somewhere down the Camel Straight. That'd be pretty cool. Next year's rookie predictions. Oh yeah. I can't predict every single rookie. In fact, I don't know enough about all of the rookies to predict how well they're going to do. But I can predict chaos for a certain fact. I know that we'll have a lot more safety cars next year than we have had this year, because we know that rookies will crash. They'll spin, they'll cause virtual safety cars, they'll break their front wings, and they'll leave debris on the circuit. And yeah, it's definitely going to spice up the action for sure. And given that we may have four teams battling for the Constructors' Championship, 8 drivers battling for the Drivers' Championship, I think the extra added chaos of 5 or potentially 6 rookies on the grid will really spice things up. Qualifying starts in 3 hours and 30 minutes. Just, add on whatever time it is in your time zone, and you'll figure out when quali starts. Who do you think will get P2 in the championship, and what team do you think will win the constructors? I think Norris will probably still get P2 in the drivers because Leclerc's got a 10-place grid penalty, and I think McLaren, their pace looks fantastic from yesterday, so I have a feeling that they're also going to win the constructors. Yeah. All right. If you were to sign drivers for GM, who would you choose? I would choose Bottas, and I would choose. I don't know. Maybe Bottas, and then maybe Kevin Magnussen if he's interested, but maybe one of the rookies as well. Definitely Bottas. That would be my first choice. And then maybe Colapinto. Yeah, Bottas and Colapinto would be a pretty nice duo, actually. I think that's who I would sign. You should crowdfund a trip to the race. I think you guys already do enough by hitting the like button, donating and stuff. So probably might be able to make a trip if I save up enough. A couple of us are working, starting to plan a Vegas trip for the next year. Wish I could fly somewhere cool like Spa. Yeah, I mean, Vegas is pretty expensive, but I'm sure if you're in America, it's cheaper to go to Vegas than it is to fly all the way to Europe. Yeah. Right. What do you think about Colapinto's talent? What team does he deserve for 2026? Well, Colapinto, as proven, he has managed to get into Formula One and challenge Albon occasionally, been pretty quick as well. He has, of course, crashed the car, but that's what you expect of a rookie. You're not going to expect them not to crash the car whatsoever. So I would say fair enough from Colapinto, and I expect he should get a seat in 2026, maybe with the arrival of GM. How did Leclerc get a 10-place grid penalty? He didn't get a 10-place grid penalty for anything that he did. It's just because he took an extra engine component. You're only allowed two battery packs for the year, and Charles Leclerc has taken a third one because I think his second one malfunctioned or something wrong with it, and the third battery pack. So he's taken a third battery pack, and that's just an extra grid penalty. All right. Do you think the grid penalty for Charles also ruins the chance of the World Constructors' Championship? Yes, I do think so. It's just a little bit unfortunate, isn't it? But the 10-place grid penalty really isn't going to help out. The McLarens are also fantastically quick in race and quali trim, so we'll see. What was your reaction to Spa 2018 Turn 1 Lap 1 with the crazy crash? Honestly, it was pretty... Well, actually, did I... Honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, I missed the start of the race. I only started watching lap number 12, I think it was. So I saw a lot of the replays, and in the replays I was like, whoa, this is absolutely crazy. And then, of course, I think that was the race where the halo saved Charles Leclerc, because Fernando Alonso bounced over the top of Leclerc's car and the halo saved him. So I was like, whoa, that is pretty scary. But yeah, I don't know. It was definitely an interesting way to get into my first Formula One race. Right. Why did Max not do the last practice? He did. He didn't take part in FP1 because the rookies were driving in FP1. We had 7 rookies driving Formula 1 cars in the free practice 1 session, but now we've had all of the normal drivers back into place, apart from Jack Doohan, of course, who is driving for Esteban Ocon at the end of this weekend. Do you think Red Bull will be able to make 2025 a fast car without Adrian? Right now, all the points are scored purely from Max's skill. Well, I'm sure there are very, very many talented people at the Red Bull team. I'm sure Adrian Newey has trained a couple of aerodynamicists underneath him, because I think Red Bull knew at some point sooner or later Adrian Newey is going to leave, or he's going to retire, or he's going to stop working in Formula One. So they know that this is coming, and I think what they would have done is they would have assigned their best aerodynamicists, or their most up-and-coming aerodynamicists, to work under Adrian Newey, to learn from him, and then to hopefully continue on developing cars as well as he can. So I think Red Bull, their total downfall is, just because Adrian Newey's left, I don't think that's going to end everything. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, right. The timer is just ticking down there. We are getting down to... we're just getting down to 1 hour now. Well, in fact, 11 seconds away from practice. Let me just get rid of this timer off the screen. And in fact, I will also refresh the team radios. Just give me 1 second, folks. Alright, the green light is open at the end of the pit lane, and all of the drivers still sat in the garage. Nobody wants to go out onto the track right in the morning. It was a little bit windy overnight, so some of the dust, some of the sand has been blown onto the circuit, and the track is a little bit dusty, so they'll have to be cleared up. And I think all of the drivers just playing a game of chicken in the pit lane, waiting for someone else to go out and clear up the track rather than they themselves go out and clear it up. Albon still sat outside of his car, and yeah, fairly standard stuff, really. This is given that the FP3 session isn't going to be all that relevant in terms of data gathering, because the race is going to be later on in the day, and so is qualifying. Yeah, there's no real incentive for the teams to go out as soon as possible to get all of the data, because, well, the data isn't accurate. The temperatures are totally wrong. Currently, we've got track temperature at 41.4 degrees, air temperature at 28. When we arrive at qualifying, the temperature is going to be around about 32, 31 degrees at track temperature. So that's going to, well, it's going to change the grip levels significantly. It's going to change the overheating characteristics of the cars, of the tyres, and the drivers will have to adapt. All right. So that is that's about it, really. Okay, I'll continue answering questions while Alonso makes his way out onto the circuit. Very nice. How was the 2024 season for you? Well, I think the 2024 season was fantastic. If you look at it in terms of the channel, where the channel's doubled in subscriber count, the views have been ridiculous. I think overall, the channel's going to hit 11 million views for the year, which is wild. Yeah, I'll just double check the statistics, what it says. How many views for 2024 up until this point? Yeah, we're going to hit 11 million views by the end of the Grand Prix, which is crazy. And the season itself has been fantastic to commentate on. There's been so much racing, so much action, and one of the best seasons, I'd say. You've got to put 2021 on another level with the championship battle, but this has been a fantastic season, regardless. How do you think Norris? Do you think Norris will have a chance to win the world championship? Yeah, I think next year he'll have a chance. It depends on how much the McLaren develops, how much they improve over the winter, and if they can. Well, if they can continue their progress onto next year. Alright, what time is the race and qualifying? Quali is in 3 hours and 30, and then the race is in 2 hours and 30, but tomorrow. I think you should start playing some F1 games like F1 24, maybe a mobile racing game of cars, because it's in the name gamer. Yeah, no, honestly, when you know how I was saying earlier about how I just started my YouTube channel as a little bit of a like, not really a joke, but like just to see, I'll see how far it goes. I thought for around an hour, 2 hours, or what name should it be? And the best thing that I could come up with was F1 Gamer, which is really quite miserable. That's the best thing I could think of. But now I think I've reached 100k with F1 Gamer. I can't really change it. So maybe I should do some gaming, but I'm not really I don't really play that much of the F1 game, and even if I do, I'll only be playing time trial and just trying to go as beat my previous time rather than doing any career mode or anything like that. So Yeah. All right. We've got driver. Yeah, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll came in. They put on a fresh set of medium tyres, and we'll see what they can do. But I think they'll be cleaning up the circuit for the rest of the drivers, and soon enough, everyone else should be coming out. In fact, yeah. All right. Oh. Exoteric, once again, another $10 donation. Thank you very, very much, buddy. Hugely is appreciated. Seriously do. Thanks for the fantastic season of commentary. Yeah, everyone typing W in the chat. That's very much appreciated. Yeah, it's been my pleasure, really. You guys have been fantastic in the chat as well, and would love to continue commentating. I think it might be fun to do a lap around the track being raced, so we have some visuals. Yeah, actually, I could in the off season record some footage, being like, oh, this is the lap around the circuit, and then I could say that, oh, and then I take you around a lap, and when I take you around a lap, I'm like, oh, this is turn number 1, you got to brake at this point, and then hit the apex here to get a good exit. That'd be actually a very good idea. Thank you for the suggestion. Well, I guess that's going to be done over the off season when I head back home, and I'll have my steering wheel set up and everything. I'll record some laps, and then I can do some commentary over that. Alright, Ghazi makes his way out onto the circuit, and we'll have, he's out on soft tyres actually. Interesting. Alright, Joe Granier will be making his way out onto the circuit as well. It looks like he's got his helmet and his hands device on, and he's into the car. So, yeah, they just need to put the wheels onto the car and he'll be out. Very, very nice. Maybe commentary of sim racing. Yeah, I could do some commentary of sim racing. I don't know where to go really to, who to talk to get that started, but I could definitely do some sim racing commentary as well. I think there'd be a lot less people interested though. So yeah, we'll just have to we'll have to see really. Right, yeah, do that for every track and post it before every race. Yeah, I could do that before every race. I might just put it on during the stream as well. Like I might do a pre-recorded bit, or I might just have the video playing on stream, and I sort of talk you through it then. Yeah, that's actually a very good idea. And it might also give me a bit of a break of talking as well. If I pre-record it, that means my throat doesn't hurt as much at the end of the race weekend. Yeah. Alright. What are your plans for the off-season? Not really, just catch up with university work that I've not been doing because of Formula 1. And then relax. Yeah, nothing too exciting really. What are your plans? You seem to be counting the days. Can't wait. I think if you get that reference, very, very nice. I think I've watched too many Seb Vettel funny moments compilations. And yeah. Why aren't they all coming out of the pits? It's because they've gathered all of the important data that they wanted in FP2, so they really don't need to come out onto the circuit. Yeah. And this is the other thing. It sort of makes the drivers a little bit unconfident when the setup changes quite a bit when the track temperature changes, because the front and the rear tires have different areas. Like the rear tires are slightly wider. When the temperature changes, it sort of shifts the grip balance of the car. It shifts it slightly further rearwards. So then what happens is the drivers currently now in FP2 will be complaining a lot about the car just not being grippy enough, the rear end sliding around everywhere. But then as soon as they get into qualifying, when the temperature drops, the grip moves rearwards and they have sufficient grip to drive quickly and all of those things. But if they are sent out to do super quick laps in FP3, then they go out onto the track and they're like, oh, this car isn't very good. It's sliding around everywhere. I'm not particularly confident pushing this. And yeah, it sort of has a bit of a negative effect on their mental state. So most of the time the teams wait for a little bit later on in the session for the temperatures to drop before they start doing their hot laps. But for some reason, well, not for some reason, I think Alpine have sent Doohan and Gasly out early because, well, Doohan definitely needs the practice, given that it's his first race in Formula 1, and I think they've just sent Gasly out for some company, I think. Yeah. Alright, do you think the main straight should be a DRS zone? No, I think it's actually alright. It's pretty... there's already 2 super long DRS zones on this circuit, so I think it's fine. If the racing was if it was even harder to overtake on this circuit, then sure, they could add one in, but it's not particularly necessary at this moment in time, so... Yeah. Alright, who's taking the MTC at Mercedes? It is Kimi Antonelli that's taking the seat at Mercedes. Yeah, so many people have been here. Give this guy some love. Yeah, that red dress one is a pretty good. Is also some good moments. I mean, definitely, I recommend you guys watch some Seb Vettel compilations. Maybe I should make some, but yeah. All right. Piastri's looking good. So Piastri's looking so good this year. I hope we can see great things from him next year. Yeah, I mean, given that it's Piastri's only his second season in Formula 1, next year will be his third. I can safely say that Piastri will definitely improve, and he'll get even closer to Norris. Currently in the drivers' standings, Norris is on 300 and let me just get exactly 351 points, I think. Lando Norris on 349 points and Oscar Piastri on 291. So there is a points gap of around about 50 points between the two drivers. 50 points, 59 points, 58 points, sorry. So once that'll get closer, and there'll be a couple of situations where team orders won't play too much of a difference and things like that. And Lando and Piastri both will hit the ground running at the start of the next year, and I think that's going to make things a lot more exciting, rather than them being a little bit further back. And yeah, Piastri's had to work a little bit on improving his qualifying. I think quite consistently Norris was out-qualifying him, and then he would just start further ahead in the race. Their race pace would be similar, but because Norris started further ahead, he ended up further ahead as well. So if Piastri can improve on his quali performance, then I'm sure he'll be able to compete with Norris a little bit more consistently. All right. Who do you think will replace Perez in 2025? I'm going to predict that it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda. Because Honda have been pushing a very long time to try and get Tsunoda into the main team. They haven't done so because Perez has been giving the main team so much money. And Honda, of course, they're providing the engine for Red Bull. So, yeah, I think Tsunoda's really quick. He's got a bit more experience in Formula 1 than Lawson has. He's matured a little bit as he's got into Formula 1, and I think his work ethic has improved so much as well since he's joined AlphaTauri. So I think that Tsunoda would be fantastic. All right. Will the other drivers drive in FP3 today? Yeah, I mean, currently anyone who's on your screen right now, they will all be driving in FP3. They're just not driving right now, and nobody's setting any lap times. Okay, who are you supporting today? I am supporting Nico Hulkenberg. Why not? I'm supporting Nico Hulkenberg to try and get a podium. But yeah, I'm supporting Valtteri Bottas to score some points at his final race. Yeah, not too fussed about who ends up winning. From Sainz chasing podiums to chasing a point for Williams next season will be heartbreaking. Yeah, it's very unfortunate for Sainz because, well, he is a fantastically quick driver. We've seen him go head-to-head with Charles Leclerc, sometimes even come out ahead. And, it looks like his time at Ferrari... Well, it not looks like it. His time at Ferrari, this is his last race with Ferrari by the looks of it, unless he decides to go back to them. But, yeah, Carlos Sainz getting... sort of demoted down the Formula 1 grid towards Williams, and we'll see if he can, make some progress in the Williams team and help them improve and, make sure that they don't crash all the time, so they don't have to make endless amounts of spare parts, and hopefully Williams can, well, become faster and faster. But it's not looking ideal for them, because the thing is, we've heard from James Vowles that they've had to cut into their 2025 budget to continue making spare parts for this year's car. So they just don't have, they've reduced the budget for next year, and the next year's budget is critical, because next year's budget dictates how much money they're going to spend on developing the car for 2026, which is very, very important. And yeah, if they're running out of money already and they haven't even started next season, I don't know what's going to happen. Valtteri is most likely going to be reserve driver for Mercedes. Zhou is trying to be reserve driver at Ferrari. We'll see if that happens for him. But yeah, we've got Fernando Alonso on a flying lap here. Purple in the first sector, green in the middle sector. He comes across the line now. Only third place for him, actually. Yeah, his middle sector really wasn't that quick, I think, compared to everyone else. And comes out a 10th behind his teammate. Okay. Valtteri had a great drive yesterday in FP2. Yeah, I think he was fairly quick, and we'll see if he can score some points. The Saubers have somehow managed to get some super late improvement in the car. I don't even think they brought any upgrades. I think they must have just figured out how to set up their car properly, and yeah, not ideal there. Alonso, as he was going through the middle sector, had to swerve to avoid a bird. The bird was just flying on top of him, and then it started to dip down towards the ground, and then Alonso had to swerve to get out of the way. A little bit odd there. Don't know what the bird's doing, really. Which team do you think would win the Constructors' Championship? It's going to be McLaren, most likely, just because of Charles's 5th place for a 10th place grid penalty. If it wasn't for that, I would say there's a little bit more of a chance that Ferrari could win. However, yeah, that 10th place grid penalty has really sealed the deal for Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari team. Alright, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. I'll be back in just a second. But yeah, we're 15 minutes into free practice 3, and currently Lance Stroll is top of the times. They could have called Daniel and Seb for the drivers' dinner. Well, they could have, however, I'm sure Daniel and Seb are in totally different countries, not in Abu Dhabi for certain, and yeah, I'm sure they would love to come, but it was also the drivers' dinner for the current Formula 1 drivers, so yeah. Yeah, that's a sentence you don't hear very often. Stroll top of the times, indeed. Well, now we've got a lot more drivers coming out onto the circuit, so I don't think that's going to last particularly long. And Trek Evolution will be, well, it'll be kind of significant, not all that significant though, given that we've had Free Practice 1 and 2, and then we've had F1 Academy, and we've had Formula 2 running on the track. I don't think there's going to be much concern of Track Evolution being all that significant this weekend. And yeah. Right. What are your thoughts on Hamilton's drive today? Hamilton hasn't driven much. He's just got out of the pits, so not much to add there. Right. I think Charles still has a chance from new components in his car. He'd be faster than the older cars on the grid. Well, if it was a new engine, sure, I would believe you, but it's a new battery pack, which is really not going to have that significant of an impact, because the battery pack isn't really the limiting factor. It's more of the motor and how powerful the motor is, and yeah, the electric motor is limited in power by the FIA, so I'm sure Ferrari are utilising it to its absolute maximum potential, and the battery is not going to help him out that much. Alright, Zhou goes top of the timings. He goes 32 milliseconds ahead of Stroll, and now K-Mag comes across the line. He goes up into first place by 1 full second. Very nicely done there. K-Mag purple in all 3 sectors. Piastri starting a flying lap here, and Norris purple in the first sector, Bottas across the line, third place for him. He's a second back from K-Mag as well, and very close to his teammate. Hulkenberg across the line, he's half a second back from K-Mag as well. So yeah, very quick lap indeed there from Kevin Magnussen. Alright, yeah, we've just got Verstappen and Perez, Albon and Colapinto yet to come out onto the track. Oh, I forgot quali is later today. Damn, I've had a rotter with one of my exams recently. Yeah. I mean, what can you say? I've been in the library all of this week, revising for exams, and yeah, my exams are still quite a ways away. So I got started early, but even then, I still feel like I'm going to do absolutely terribly in some of them. It's just the way things go. Sometimes some exams are good, some are bad. As long as you don't fail everything, then life continues moving onwards. Oh, Norris as well. Second place for him and Piastri fourth. So it looks like the McLarens have got a little bit more fuel in their car, or K-Mag just had a super fast lap. Do you watch anime? No, I don't actually. I don't think I've... no animes whatsoever, to be honest. Some of my friends do, but I've just not been particularly interested. What do you study? I study engineering. Yeah. Alright, Verstappen's out on mediums, Perez is out on softs. Maybe we'll see them end up doing the same lap times now because of the tyre difference. I mean, that was a bit uncalled for. There's really no need, given that it might be Perez's last race in Formula 1. It might be his last race for Red Bull. Who knows? Right, software failed on my final exam of my degree, and the markers could see I attempted the whole thing, but not my answers. Oh wow, that is it's not ideal, really. I mean, most of my exams are still on. Actually, nearly all of my exams are still on paper. So yeah, I mean that's a risk, I guess, of doing stuff with software. You get a technical issue, and somehow all of your answers have just been marked wrong. It could be Perez's last race. It's not been confirmed, but Red Bull are currently in talks of ending Perez's contract and just keeping him as a Red Bull ambassador and paying him a bunch of money, so he doesn't complain too much about his contract being ended. They're making you redo the exam. Oh my god, redo the exam, because this is the thing. I'm sure many of you have taken exams in your lifetime, but as soon as you do the exam, you forget absolutely everything that you were learnt for the exam. As soon as you walk out of that exam hall and you finish talking to your friends about what you got for each question, that's it. You forgot everything, and then you go get super drunk the next that evening to celebrate your exams being over, and then you you have to redo your exams on the next week. Like, that is it's terrible, absolutely terrible. Verstappen purple in the first and second sector, and he's on medium tyres. Like, this guy, what is he doing? I mean, Red Bull must have fixed their issues overnight, because they were complaining about so much understeer. And here comes Max Verstappen on a set of medium tyres. He's pushing pretty quick, and we'll see what he can do when he comes across the line. Out the final corner he goes, stays within track limits very nicely. Perez as well, quickest in the middle sector. Only fifth place there. He must have, did he make a mistake in the last sector or something? It looks like he did, actually. Looks like he made a pretty big oh no, maybe he just backed off. Trying to hide his pace from everyone else, I'm not sure. RBR should swap Sergio with Ryuki. Well, they could swap. However, I don't know if Sergio Perez currently wants to drive at RB. Yeah. All right. Let's see. RB has been sandbagging a lot in practice. No, I think they were genuinely suffering from a lot of understeer issues yesterday, and their test drivers will have worked overnight to try and fix those issues and to get the correct setup. So we'll see if it looks like their conditions have improved a little bit. Their grip conditions have improved. So we'll find out. All right. I said I would do a face reveal at 100k. I don't know when I said that, but I don't think I did. Or even if I did, unfortunately, I'm just not going to do one. Yeah, sorry about that. But I'm pretty sure I didn't say so. I definitely remember when I was on like 100 subscribers. I think I said, "Oh, if we hit 1k, I'll do a face reveal." But then, yeah, I never did that. I know, I said that one for a fact. But yeah. All right, Charles Leclerc up into 5th position, very nicely done, and yeah, he's up there on a set of soft tyres. So he's done that on an old set of his second lap on those soft tyres rather than them being a fresh set. But regardless, a fairly quick lap there, and it looks like the Haas cars have just got a lot less fuel in their car compared to everyone else, and that explains their pace. Yeah, I see quite often them set purple sectors on certain parts of the track to get data and then back off. Yeah, we see this because they don't want to draw attention to themselves, being like, oh, we're the fastest team, or look at our sector times, what are we doing here? Because quite often what you see is the teams will look at the telemetry from the other drivers as well, and try and get a feel for, where they've been attacking and what lines they're taking, where they're braking. And it just makes it makes it a little bit harder to spot which is the fastest laps that really. So, okay, so for example, Verstappen's quick lap on medium tyres, that he was super quick in the first and second sector and then backed out in the final sector, I think. Once the teams are analyzing all of the data, so for example, let's say Ferrari are analyzing the data at the end of the session, it's going to be why would they look at a lap time that's only put Verstappen in 6th position when they could look at the lap time that's put him up in 1st? So yeah, just if they wanted to get some real analysis on the quickest way to drive the medium tyres through the first and second sectors, then it would be pretty difficult to look through all of the lap times to check, oh, Verstappen was pushing in the first and second sector and backed off in the third sector. So it just makes the lives for other teams trying to copy the other drivers a little bit harder. But I'm sure it could be worked around, and the teams would find ways to do that. So yeah. All right. Analyzing the data to bottle both championships. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic way to put it for Ferrari, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Verstappen looks like he'll win, but he wants to mess with Russell. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Honestly, if those two drivers start alongside each other on the grid, I'm going to be so happy, because I know for a fact something's going to happen. Like we saw last weekend in Qatar, when Max Verstappen lined up on his grid position, his car was tilted so much over to the left to just immediately cut off George Russell. He wasn't even trying to be sly about it. Like his car, so George Russell had lined up perfectly straight, going straight towards turn number 1. Max Verstappen had tilted his car, not ever so slightly, tilted it fairly significantly. And when he was in his grid position, his car was directly pointed into the path of George Russell to make sure that he can cut him off without losing any grip. Because, of course, when you're in the critical phases of acceleration, you don't want to be turning the steering wheel. So Verstappen, in advance, has turned his steering wheel, lined up his car in that direction, and then will go straight into the path of George Russell and cut him off. So yeah, we'll see what Verstappen does this weekend if they end up alongside each other on the track. Yeah. Do you think Charles would help Hamilton win the championship? Well, see, this is the thing. I think if that was to happen, they wouldn't be a number 1 or number 2 driver. I think Leclerc and Hamilton would be so similar on points, Ferrari would not even try to get into the whole can of worms of saying, oh, you're going to give up a position for the other driver, because neither driver will listen. Like, Leclerc's not going to slow down for Hamilton if they're both going for the championship. Sure, if for whatever reason Leclerc is like 100 points behind Hamilton, then yeah, he would back off and he would give Hamilton the place. But if they're both going for the championship, I see no reason why Leclerc would back off and help out Lewis Hamilton, because both drivers would be going for it. Um, yeah. Okay. All right. What else have we got? Ooh, Guan Yu Zhou getting blocked by one of the Red Bulls there. That was Sergio Perez on the racing line. Not ideal there. Yeah, probably just some miscommunication to be honest, but that could have been a little bit dangerous there. Ooh, there's a smoking coming out of Science's car. There was a replay, and it looks like smoke. I don't know exactly what it is. It might have been smoke from his brake ducts, but smoke was definitely coming out of the rear of the Ferrari. Sainz is currently still out on the track, so it looks like it wasn't any major issue. Yeah. Right. Also, folks, I have some more interesting statistics for you. So, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, they have been teammates since 2022. 2022, 2023, and 2024. Both drivers, if you add up every single point they've scored up until this race now in Abu Dhabi, both drivers have scored 685 points. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell are tied on points as teammates essentially for the past 3 seasons combined. So, going into this race, we will see which driver comes out on top, or they could both DNF, or Russell could end up in 9th place and Hamilton could come in along in 10th place with fastest lap. That would be the 2 scenarios where both drivers end up tied on points. Russell has been the quicker driver in qualifying. I think it's 38 to 33 for George Russell in quali. Don't quote me on that. I think I'm just remembering vaguely from when I saw the stats. And I think it's around about equal for the race. I think it's 35, 34 or something like that for race conditions. So both teammates very, very equally matched. In fact, as I've said, they are tied on points going into the final race. So we will see what happens there. And the other statistic, which I did say yesterday, but I'll mention it again, Oscar Piastri has raced every single racing lap of this season so far. Not a single DNF, not a finishing 1 lap down or anything like that. Every single race that he's took part in this year, he has driven all the way till the very end and completed every single racing lap. That has only been done by 3 other drivers in the past. That has been Michael Schumacher in 2002, Lewis Hamilton in 2019, Max Verstappen in 2023. So Oscar Piastri there, he could join that list if he doesn't get a DNF this Grand Prix. So we shall wait and see what happens there. We'll see if Piastri can continue on and finish every single lap. That will put him in a records. He'll add on to that record list, and he'll be with a bunch of champions. So maybe a multiple time world champions really. So maybe Piastri goes on to be a champion. All right, but he's purple in the first sector, slower than his personal best in the middle, and this is an issue that we see with the soft tyres, especially. It might not, when Verstappen was pushing in the first and second sector and then backed off in the final sector, it might not have been he backed off. It's just your tyres really start to overheat. Track temperature 39 degrees. It will drop to 31 or 32 by quali, which will definitely help out. But we do see the drivers here often attacking a little bit less, say in the middle sector, because the middle sector is basically just 2 long straights with a chicane in the middle. So as long as they go careful on the braking, on the traction zone, not to get too much wheel spin, the tyre overheating is a little bit less of an issue. But in the final sector, turn number 11 all the way till turn number 16, they're all overheating your tyres, and they do have to be very careful around that, otherwise they end up losing lap time. Right. Yeah, folks, also, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Hopefully, we can hit 1,000 likes by the end of the stream. We've got 4,500 people watching. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Currently, K-Mag is still top of the times. Verstappen improves on his lap time on medium tyres, and he goes up into second place. But yeah, he's still doing that on mediums while everyone else is on softs. We've seen quite a few drivers now exceed track limits at turn number 1 and turn number 16. Those are the two critical corners on this circuit where drivers do exceed track limits. So no lap times have been deleted by the FIA in the practice sessions because they don't really care in the practice sessions. However, when qualifying rolls around, we will start getting lap times deleted, and I will keep you updated on that. We may see some surprise eliminations. Because some drivers get a lap time deleted, yeah. Right. What else is there to talk about? Not too much, really. Everyone's out on soft, so we got Tsunoda and Lawson out on hards. It looks like they're gathering some data for the hard tyres, figuring out how grippy they are and if they're worthwhile to use in the race, or do you do one very short stint on them and then get back onto the mediums ASAP? We shall wait and see. All right. What else have we got going on the... Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and let me know. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll take you through a lap of the circuit since we've got some time. So we have, of course, got the main straight, turn number 1. You go down towards turn number 1. The drivers do exceed track limits here quite often. They'll have to be kept under control, but they brake around about the 70-meter mark, just turn the car in, 4th gear, and then get onto the power as soon as possible because you're flat all the way through turn number 2 and 3 and 4. You know, given in wet conditions, they may not be flat, but here we are in Abu Dhabi in the middle of a desert, so it's going to be dry conditions, and yeah, they're flat through turn number 3 and 4, braking towards turn number 5. There used to be a chicane here, but they got rid of that, and just a hairpin at turn number 5. And once again, the drivers get an early apex, get a late apex, and just get as much power down in a straight line as possible, and then power all the way down towards turn number 6, where they've got a DRS zone down this straight. Get onto the brakes for turn number 6. It's quite easy to lock the rear brakes going into 6. We saw, I think, Luke Browning yesterday. He was locking his brakes in the FP1 session. And yeah, the drivers just have to switch their brake bias a little bit further forward to make sure that that doesn't happen in these heavy braking zones. Rotate the car through turn number 6 and 7. The track is slightly off camber there, and the curbs as well are particularly high, so you don't want to be driving over the curbs ideally, or at least the inside bits of the curbs. The outside bit of the curbs are fine, but inside bits not ideal really. But the drivers make their way through there. Once again, just on a traction limited phase at turn 7, just get the car as straight as possible, and they go straight and once again, open DRS as they go towards turn number 9. 9 is a super long corner, but it's also taken at a fairly high speed. The drivers go through there around about 5th gear, I think, and they go through there at 5th gear, and the issue that they encounter there is that they can't see the exit curb when they enter the corner because it's such a long corner. It's totally blind, basically. You hit the brakes, you can see the apex of where you're aiming for, but then you can't see the exit curb. So the drivers are kind of driving blind for about 2/3 of the corner before the exit curb comes into view, and they're like, oh, I should be slightly further to the left. Oh, I should be slightly further to the right. But yeah, the drivers, they get into the rhythm of things and they figure that out, and they have some reference points as well to help them through that corner. Then they go through turn number 11 and turn number 10 and 11, where they are turning and braking at very similar times. So through turn number 10, it's flat, and 11 they start to lift off just ever so slightly before they get onto the brakes for 12. 12, 13, 14, they're just 90-degree corners. They've been rounded out a little bit to help with the overtaking and not make them so sharp. And then you go through turn number 15, and once again, track limits on the exit of 15 is a little bit of a difficult issue, but the curbs are quite high now, so the drivers just stay away because otherwise it damages the car. And then turn number 16 is the final corner. Yeah. And once again, track limits there is also a little bit hard, but the drivers will keep that under control because otherwise, the lap times will be deleted. All right. When is quali? Quali is in, well, the qualifying stream itself will start in 3 hours, but the qualifying stream itself will start in 2.5 hours, and the quali itself will be in 3 hours, so yeah. All right. Yeah, we've only got less than half the grid currently on this track. Everyone else still sat in the pits for the final 20 minutes. Maybe we'll see some drivers come out on fresh softs and we'll see some real good hot laps towards the end, but as of now, the sun is still shining. The temperature's still too high in Abu Dhabi for the drivers to go and set some super fast laps. And yeah, all right. All right, didn't Toro Rosso win with a Ferrari engine? Yeah, for Toro Rosso definitely did. Someone said time to increase the resolution of your broadcast. My resolution is full HD. I think if you click on the settings icon, then you can increase the quality. YouTube, for some reason, will set it to a minimum quality. It'll set it to like one of the lower quality settings for some reason, which is stupid, but I guess it makes sense for YouTube. It's less load on their servers, but yeah, you should increase the quality and then you'll be able to read all the text fine. All right. All right. What else have we got to talk about? Not much really. Not much whatsoever. In fact, I'm gonna have a quick sip of water. Yeah, Biggles, I got your email a while ago. I'll let you know for next season, but for now, I think I'm fine. There's only one race left, to be honest. So yeah. All right. Ooh, Albon's on a flying lap here. Purple in the first sector, and he's looking pretty quick. Top speed's approaching 327 kilometers an hour as he goes through the speed traps, and then the battery seems to start recharging ever so slightly early. I think Williams will have to fix that issue. But yeah, Albon goes 327 and then slows down before he gets onto the brakes. He is a quarter of a second up on Kevin Magnussen. So yeah, they've really taken the fuel out of that Williams. And he judges turn 9 absolutely perfectly. Makes his way through turn number 10 onto the brakes. He goes for turn number 12. And the car rotating fantastically for Alex Albon. It's looking brilliant for him. And he comes across the line. And it is first place for Alex Albon by 1/10 of a second. Right, F1 Gamer favourite track. I would probably say Suzuka or Brazil. Those are my two favourite for sure. Yeah. All right. What else? What do you think happened to Perez? How did he lose his form so badly? Well, that's a big question there, isn't it? But I'd say to sort of answer it really. Firstly, when you're teammates with Max Verstappen or just someone who is world champion and is at the absolute top of their game, and you can't beat them no matter what you try. Firstly, that's very, very demoralizing mentally. You up until this point in his career, he hasn't, throughout all of the junior formulas, anyone that makes it to Formula One in the junior formulas absolutely destroys the competition, right? Like, you're so used to destroying the competition, being so much quicker than everyone else, and then not having to put in the effort, and you can still just be the fastest person out on track. And then, you arrive at Formula One, you realize, oh, these guys are actually super fast, and I'm gonna have to put in some effort. And you do put in some effort, and you see some positive outcome, and you're like, oh, I actually did get quicker, and I beat my teammate this time. So you see that happen, but then once your teammates with a world champion, someone like Max Verstappen, no matter how much effort you put in, and no much whatever you do, you're still always going to be half a tenth, 1/10 back, and it's so demoralizing. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is Red Bull did not listen to Perez in terms of car feedback. In the, when the team brings an upgrade, they ask the drivers for feedback. Oh, did you feel more grip? Did you feel more understeer, oversteer? Was it too slidey? Was it too on the edge of grip? Like, all of these questions, they get asked to all of the drivers, and they, I'm sure they were asked to Sergio Perez as well. However, they didn't take any of his feedback. Perez was saying in 2023 Spain that the car was too unstable, it was undrivable, and they totally ignored his feedback and then just continued on developing the car in the exact same way. They ended up making the car so unstable that both Perez and Verstappen couldn't drive it, and then they had to modify the setup so much that instead of it being so oversteery, it became so understeery, and then Verstappen was complaining about understeer, and Sergio Perez was complaining about understeer as well. So yeah, the fact that the car wasn't really suited to him, like they weren't taking his feedback on board, and then also the demoralization factor of just being beaten by your teammate ever so consistently, no matter what you do, probably contributed to Perez's lack of form. Yeah. All right. No, FP3 isn't over. We've still got 15 minutes left, surprisingly, but yeah, all of the drivers just, more than half the drivers just sat in the pits. Okay. How do the drivers improve their qualifying skills? Well, that's a tough question to answer, really, because qualifying is purely based off raw pace. And it's like, how do you improve raw pace? Because if you knew how to improve raw pace, then, I'd be a Formula One driver. Get down to the karting track, improve my raw pace by doing whatever secret trick that what there is, and then yeah, but there isn't really one secret trick that you can do to improve your raw pace. It's being quick in quali. There are certain aspects to it. Before the quali lap, your warm up procedure of your tires. If you can nail that, get your brakes into the correct window, that can help with your qualifying lap. However, the qualifying lap itself is it just. I don't know. I'm going to say it just requires skill and talent, but it's not that. There are other aspects to it. And it's like knowing the circuit, there's that, on this curb, if you get onto the inside of the curb, it sort of hooks you around the corner, and if you take this slightly different racing line, then you can go half a tenth quicker through that corner. And there are certain bits of knowledge that help you out, but in terms of the qualifying itself, like when you're out there on the circuit, and you're deciding when to put the throttle down and when you're braking, there really isn't that much that you can do to improve that. I think just lots and lots of practice, maybe in different conditions, different like I'd say Kimi Räikkönen, doing rallying and then doing NASCAR for a bit, and Fernando Alonso doing a lot of WEC and IndyCar. That makes drivers a little bit more well-rounded and adaptable to all scenarios. That will probably help having experience in other things, but yeah, I that's a pretty tough question to answer, really. And I'm not an I'm not a Formula One driver. In fact, I've went go-karting once, maybe twice in my life. So no, I'm not the right person to answer that, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, Gasly up into second place, Doohan up into third. The Alpines have really taken the fuel out of that car, and well, they're pushing pretty nicely. But look at that, the gap between Gasly and Doohan is only 26 milliseconds there. It's super close between those two drivers, and considering it's Doohan's first race, he's doing a brilliant job, and maybe we'll see what he can do in quali, and if he can get up there alongside Pierre Gasly. All right, Russell across the Russell across the line at 124.0, Piastri at 123.4. Fantastically done from him. And Norris is also on a similarly quick lap as well, so we'll see what he can do. Hulkenberg quickest through the speed traps there, 330 Ks. I think he got a little bit of a tow from someone else ahead of him, but nonetheless, Guan Yu Zhou in fact goes quicker than him, 332 Ks. And he definitely got a tow off Lewis Hamilton there. And we'll see what those two drivers can do. But Colapinto across the line, 14th place for him. We've got K-Mag just making his way through the final couple of corners now, and he is on a flying lap as well. The Haas looks very planted, actually. Very stable to drive, and the Haas is on an upwards trajectory. In third place for him. We can see if they can score enough points to displace Alpine in the Constructors and get 6th place. Norris comes across the line. He goes 2 tenths back from his teammate in 2nd position. Very nice. And we've got Hulkenberg across the line for 4th place as well. Yeah, if we have a look at the Constructors standings, actually, the Haas team is on 54 points. Alpine are on 59 points. So if Haas can outscore Alpine by 6 points this weekend, then Haas will get 6th place in the Constructors, which will be huge for them. Yeah. I think it's a pretty sizable increase in prize money as well, like definitely on the order of 4 to 6 million extra in prize money from going up from 7th position to 6th position. So it should be they should definitely be trying for it. Yeah, Lawson up into 11th place from him as he comes across the line. Charles Leclerc starts a flying lap. We got Tsunoda across the line into 7th. Nicely done there from Yuki Tsunoda. And of course, both Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda know that this is their weekend to shine. If this is the if there's ever been a weekend in their whole life to get a surprise podium, this is the one. Because if they do well this weekend, then that could switch everything around. And Lawson doesn't look like he's going to get the Red Bull seat, but if he can score a surprise podium this weekend, then maybe he gets the Red Bull seat and Tsunoda gets stuck at RB. So who knows? Is Colapinto still using an old spec car, or did they get him back to the new spec? I think they're still just using an old spec. I think some parts are old spec, some parts are new spec. It's not going to be ideal for Colapinto, but it's also Colapinto who crashed the car, so it is kind of his fault. But it's also, I think this is the thing. When Colapinto got into the car, he knew that if he crashed it, he wasn't going to have spare parts. So it is his own fault. Whereas if he crashed the car and he thought he would have spare parts because the team said he would, and then he doesn't, then that's slightly on the team. But Colapinto knew the first thing when he signed that Williams contract that they don't have enough spare parts and he can't afford to crash the car too much. So I think Colapinto is just paying the price for his own mistakes. It's definitely not ideal, but in the situation that Williams is, it's probably the best that they can do. All right, Charles Leclerc improves. Only 8th place for him. He's 7 tenths off the back of the McLarens. Carlos Sainz comes across the line. He's in 4th place. He's 4 tenths back. So, yeah, Charles Leclerc's got a little bit of work to do. And yeah, he loses a 10th in the first sector and 2 tenths in the middle sector to Carlos Sainz's teammate. So yeah, Leclerc's got some improvement to do. We'll see if he can. I'm sure he'll be able to get it done. He'll just look at the telemetry from his teammate and try to copy it. All right. But look at that, folks. George Russell in 5th position, Max Verstappen in 3rd. That just gives me an ever so slight bit of hope that when we come to qualifying, Verstappen and Russell are going to be right next to each other at the end of Q3, and that'll be super exciting for the race. With the amount of filler in the Williams, I'd be surprised if it passed the crash regulations. Well, this is the thing. The crash regs are solely determined by, well, the important crash regs, which are the drivers going straight into the barrier from a certain speed. I think those are just determined by the crash structure itself, which doesn't really get damaged that much because it's made out of just solid carbon fiber. And then the nose cone. And the nose cone isn't too big of an issue because either it's damaged or it's not, and the teams won't compromise on that because the FIA will call them out on it. Like if there's a crack in the nose cone, which is part of the crash structure, the FIA will be like, this is not safe to race, and then they won't be able to take part. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But Alonso and Stroll finally come out onto the track. They haven't set that many laps this session, but they're out on softs now with 6 minutes left on the clock. We'll see what they can do. Right. Yeah, Russell is still improving. Actually, he's on a second lap with his set of soft tires. And he is still improving. Very nicely done. Now, all of the drivers just doing quali prep here. Everyone on the track apart from Gasly and Doohan. And I think they're sitting in the pits just until the very end of the session. Guys, we're not seeing each other for 3 months after tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I will be doing any streams or anything like that. And if I do, it'll be totally unprompted and unplanned. But yeah, it will be 3 months till the start of testing. In fact, I have to start setting up my testing stream so I can redirect you guys, and we can have a head start to next season's streams as well. That'd be huge. Hopefully planning to be the biggest F1 streaming channel on YouTube. Currently, if in terms of views, I would say we are right now. In terms of subscribers, we're a little bit behind racing statistics, but I'm sure that could change very, very soon. Well, that could change next season. Not very soon, but yeah, pretty things are going pretty well. There's always the American Racing Series. Yes. Could have a look. The thing is, I'd have to get the data as well, because otherwise just me talking on the screen would be fine for if it was like a radio show or something. But I think it's also preferable to have something up on the screen. So I should, yeah, I'll have a think. Russell is not even close to Max. Well, I mean, in terms of lap time, he's only 2/10 away. But yeah, in terms of who is the best driver on the grid, I'm sure Max is a little bit further ahead than Russell. Probably a little bit is a bit of an understatement as well. All right. Let me know. I can help with NASCAR and IndyCar, mate. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I still have your email, so it should be fine. I'll let you know. All right, 3 minutes left of this free practice session, and yeah, Alonso and Stroll came across the line 17th and 18th, 17th and 19th, unfortunately for them, 1.2 seconds off the pace. And Colapinto 1.6 seconds back. Yeah, I think that's definitely... Colapinto is fairly quick, but I think the combinations of being a rookie and having car parts that aren't meant to go together is, well, not helping him. All right. Some of the US series low formula stream live on YouTube. Some of them have very good racing too. Yeah, I could actually. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe email like some of the lower junior formulas. Like if there's Formula 4 ever commentated ever on YouTube. I think McLaren have a racing series as well. McLaren, like the GT cars. I think the 720Ss have like a racing series or something. But yeah, I have no idea who to email to try and do that. But that would be pretty cool. I mean, if any of you guys know, there's 5,000 of you watching. If any of you guys have any sort of knowledge of the broadcasting world, then be sure to send me an email at what's my email? I think, what is it, gamerf1.yt5@gmail.com. Or you could just message me on Instagram. That's probably easier. F1_gamer_5 is my Instagram. So yeah, that'll be, if you work at a company that could sponsor my channel, then feel free to email me. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. All right. We got everyone out on soft tires, and everyone just doing their final couple of checks. Well, not final couple of checks. They'll just be waiting around now for the checkered flag to fall, so they can do their starting. They can do their grid starts really. Yeah. In fact, I'll just type the IG into the chat. F1_gamer_5. There we go. All right. Oh, Hamilton across the line, 3rd place for him, very nicely done. Gets ahead of his teammate, and he's done that on a older set of soft tyres as well, nicely done. And that's it. Sergio Perez across the line, 10th place for him. He's still 4 tenths off the back of his teammate. Charles Leclerc improved on his second lap, but still not enough to get close to his teammate. And yeah. Quali stream time, let's have a look. The qualifying stream will start in 2 hours exactly. Yeah, 2 hours exactly, and the start of the qualifying stream will be underway. So not long now. I'm just going to have lunch, and then I shall be back for qualifying. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys, answering all of your questions and stuff about Formula One and all of the lovely messages in the chat. I don't know exactly what I was trying to go with that, but I will see you in 2 hours' time for the final qualifying of the 2024 season. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. All right, and yeah, 3, 2, 1. That's the end of the session. The checkered flag is out. The drivers will just do their grid starts now, and then pull back into the pits. Okay, thank you very much, and see you in 2 hours.